suicidal ideation, eating disorder, depression and anxiety, late diagnosed ADHD, what else? Gender and sexuality, exploration, and a psychotic break. These are just the highlights of what I have been dealing with as a parent of 5 teenagers and young adults over the last 6 years. My name is Andy. I'm a mom of 5. I live in Portugal, and I left America in 2019 with my family of 7. I clearly have a high needs family. We have a couple of kids with disabilities. I didn't even mention like Down syndrome, and then I have a child with another complicated condition that causes developmental delays. I am carrying a lot. And that is why I am thankful to live in Portugal near the sea, because it carries me as I carry a lot. And so I just wanted to talk about what it's like when your family is not normal. I was just chatting with another mom who has some kids who have gone through really, really hard things, has parented through equally difficult things. And she started a sentence in something that she wrote recently that was like, how do you explain to someone who has a normal life that, you're afraid for your safety in your home, or your Christmas season is filled with a child ranting because they've had a psychotic break, because who knows? Who knows? That particular child has a lot of very complicating factors in their history, and their condition just sometimes turns into really weird stuff. And they stop processing their meds in the same way, and then all of a sudden those meds are causing headaches and increasing paranoia. And these are the kind of things where I just sit there in the midst of it, a little bit in disbelief, because our reality is so abnormal. It feels abnormal. Please comment if you have parented through some really hard things. I know that this is really hard to talk about because you don't want to, what is the word I'm looking for? Privacy concerns with your kids. The nice thing about having 5 kids is that I can talk about things in a general way, and because I have 5, it doesn't necessarily call out the one child who is experiencing the things, except for Down syndrome. That's pretty obvious. That is my daughter June, and Down syndrome is the easiest thing that we deal with here at the Eggman house as far as parenting issues go. So that's something. I just want you to know that if you are a mom whose kids have not, for whatever reason, followed this normal track, and you have grieved that because you see people with their just super normal things happening, like regular sports or regular proms or regular graduation. We have been through so much, and I often talk about how we needed to move abroad for me, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I really needed to be okay so that I could support all of the people who also need to be okay in my family. I often still struggle with feeling like it was selfish to prioritize my needs, but I know that it wasn't. It is not selfish to prioritize our needs, especially if you have a high needs family, especially if you have walked through some really hard things with your kids. I mean, I just named the hardest ones. If you are a mom whose kid has experienced depression to the degree that they have suicidal ideation and they need to sleep on your floor sometimes so you know that they're safe, that's a horrible thing to have to endure. And I sort of joke with new friends, like, whatever's going on with your kids, feel free always to be open with me, because I've experienced, I mean, not everything, thank goodness, but a lot of things, a lot of things. I just like to normalize the really hardest things that people have gone through, not only with their kids, but I mean, I've lost a best friend to cancer. My mom has Alzheimer's. There's so many things that need normalizing, not because they are normal. They don't feel normal. It does not feel normal to be trying to figure out if you in a different country need to put your kid in a psych ward. That doesn't feel normal. It is really unfun. And thankfully, we have good psychological support here in Portugal. And so we were able to get really consistent support and recommendations from our kiddo's psychiatrist and tweak meds and figure out a plan. That was really helpful. Now, we would have taken them if there had been like imminent danger, but it was one of those situations where like hour by hour, you're trying to figure out like, what the heck is going on here? How are we all going to ourselves like stay in touch with reality as we have a member of our family who has lost touch with reality? Like, this is the hardest stuff to go through as a parent. And because of privacy concerns and because you don't want people to think like negatively of your children, you can't always talk about it. And you have to talk about it behind closed doors, unless you have 5 kids, and then that really helps. So I'm just, sometimes it's very overwhelming to have 5, but at least I can talk about it here on God's green internet. I wanted to put this in my series, 44 Ways I Built a Life That Doesn't Break Me, because the sheer needs in my family are extremely varied and absolutely have threatened to break me on a regular basis. So for me, leaving America was not only a 20-year dream, but it was my life raft. And my pace of life here is so much calmer and less frenetic, which is helpful too, because I'm a late diagnosed ADHD person. So trying to deal with all of the things I described at the beginning of this video as a person who struggles with like my dopamine levels or dopamine processing or whatever it is, I totally don't understand it all the way. Like, what is wrong with my dopamine? But as a person who myself struggles with my executive functioning, I'm really time blind. I get really deep diving into different things and like lose track of time. I can set like the way that I cope is I set alarms all day. So that I don't forget things. But there have literally been times where I've set an alarm like a little bit too far away from the thing that needed to happen, like, 20 minutes away, even 15 minutes away. And then I've gotten completely like, it was enough time that I got distracted again. And like, I'm just fully in the thing and I forget that there's like other things that I need to be doing. So I needed a life that was less stressful outside of my house, because my life inside of my house is very stressful. And I always laugh a little bit when people are like, just cut out high demand people or toxic people out of your life. And I'm like, what if the toxic people are your children? No, I'm not saying that all of my children are toxic. There are behaviors sometimes that have been really problematic, and that has to do with trauma. We are a family who has been built through adoption, and some of the children have exposures to things that messed up their bodies. And then, like, they have trauma. The separation from their birth families is trauma. So, like, we all have secondary trauma, and then, like, trauma. So much trauma. And traumatized people aren't easy to be around all the time. They are struggling, right? I'm a traumatized person. I'm not easy to be around all the time. I think it just makes me laugh a little bit. Like, there's these simplistic things that people say. It's just a really privileged position. It's a really privileged position to say, just cut out the negative people from your life, or cut out the people who drain your energy. Like, I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the only mother who's been like, so you want me to send my children away? Because children certainly, even when they haven't been traumatized, drain your energy. So anyway, I am here to show you that even though I have a very complicated life, I've made choices and I've chosen ease where I can. And so, first of all, I just want to normalize your unnormal life if you have kids who have really hard problems or are going through really hard periods of their life. So that's one thing. I also just want to normalize choosing ease. Whatever you can do to make your life easier is okay. And that is something that has changed for me. I did not used to think that that was okay. I was very influenced by white evangelical Christianity and like fundamentalist wings of that for a long time. And basically, what women are taught in that scenario, specifically women, men are taught to like have women dote on them and go provide for their families, but only financially. And then women are taught to sacrifice their entire being for the well-being of everyone else. And so I was certainly not always able to say, choose ease. Me leaving America was me trying to choose ease in whatever ways I could so that I could maintain my sense of self, so that I could ignite my joy and gladness to be alive again. It was me finding the beauty. I talk about how if everything is really, really hard in your life, find beauty wherever you can find it. And I don't mean find the silver lining in the cloud. What I mean is, oh, there's a flower. Well, that's beautiful. My life is in shambles, but this flower is beautiful. You know, being able to look anywhere you can for beauty. And for me, I use nature a lot to find beauty. Being able to live by the ocean just feels like the best, most wonderful gift I've ever received, because the ocean really does act as my therapist and my nervous system regulator when I'm dealing with these very, very hard things that I carry. Also, the reason I put Mother Resistance here next to me is a couple of reasons. I am about to launch t-shirts with Mother Resistance on it. They say hope like a mother, just like the painting does. Art is a big part of the way that I keep perspective and find hope in a life that has a lot of complicating factors. Since I'm talking about motherhood today, I thought my Hope Like a Mother painting would be nice to sit next to me. I love this because She's like whimsy. This is based on a real person that I know in Tbilisi. Whimsy with the flowers. She would show up at protests with the flowers, and then she's got her ear protection. Choose ease. Let your nervous system get a break. I often use earplugs to give my nervous system a break. And then the gas mask. Obviously, like, I feel like the whole vibe of Hope Like a Mother right here, of mother resistance, as I call her, is just like grit, right? Hope is an action. Hope is a focused pursuit of a better life and beauty and a good future. And I think so many times in our mothering, we have to rely primarily on hope because the reality in front of our faces is not hopeful. That's what I have to say about that. I think I'm done for today. I would love to see you here tomorrow. Please subscribe if you would like to hear just some of the practical ways that I have tried in my life to find the beauty and to dare to truly live in a way that matches me and my priorities and my loves. Oh, and I did start that practice. Check out yesterday's video. I talked about the practice of writing out your trauma to get it out of your body. It's based on a study that was done as like a link to information about it. But I started my 4-day trauma dumping writing exercise today. And you're supposed to give yourself 20 minutes a day for 4 days. It like helps your immune system. It has physical results when you do this, which is amazing, according to the study that I was mentioning. And I wrote for 40 minutes today, which I'm sure you can imagine based on the topic of this video. Oh, I wasn't even writing about my kids today. Maybe tomorrow. So nice to have you here. I really, really value being real on the internet. And I hope that other people who have dealt with hard stuff but are committed to hoping and moving forward and taking care of yourself in the midst of a chaotic life, I really hope that you join me here in this community.